Imagine stepping into a sunny postcard that has been ripped in half right before your eyes. That is Florida in 2025, once the ultimate getaway, and now a looming nightmare. The state that promised endless beaches and easy living is cracking wide open, and the American dream is leaking through every fracture. Children learn their ABCs under nylon roofs. Grandparents curl up on cardboard under highway shadows. Even elite police units hesitate to enter certain blocks because the rules that kept order have gone missing. This is not a normal emergency. It is the slow crash of hope, kindness, and the promises carved into the national story. In this video, we walk straight into those forgotten corners, where bright streets have become corridors of trash and whispered fears. Florida once sparkled in retirement brochures. Workers everywhere saved each paycheck while picturing a condo by the sea, gentle waves, and oranges on the porch. Now that promise feels like a cruel joke. The homelessness storm is no longer hiding in alleys. It spills onto every busy turn in Orlando, every suburban road outside Tampa, and the glossy lanes of Miami. Rows of tents made from tarps, plywood, and dented cars sit beneath palm trees once printed on travel mugs. In the harsh sunlight, elders splash tap water on tired faces, using cracked suitcases as closets. Cardboard turns into beds. Parking lots become bedrooms. Passersby stare at the pavement, scared to glimpse their own future in those weathered eyes. Officials count more than 31,462 people without homes, and the line grows each year. Behind every number stands someone who once held a job, paid taxes, and followed every rule. One illness, a lost job, or a funeral can rip everything away, because the path back is blocked by rent above $2,300 a month and a safety net full of holes. City offices, police patrols, and charities try to help, but they are scooping water from a sinking boat. Special teams rolled into calm, rising violence, then pulled out, admitting they could not mend what was broken. This fall did not happen overnight. It began in cheap motels where full-time workers hide. It spread to gas stations that double as bathrooms. It shows in the fear on older faces when they realize age no longer buys security. If a state once branded as the last stop for peace can fail like this, what place is truly safe? Or are we all balancing on thin fabric walls? Wildlife offers a painful mirror. Sea turtles once knew exactly where to crawl each summer, but resort lights confused them, and they now wander in circles on man-made sand. Maria, 63, is one of those turtles in human form. Each humid night in Miami-Dade, she pulls on a security uniform for a second shift, working 7 nights a week just to stay afloat. Her aging sedan is her house, her closet, and the only shelter for the small dog curled on the passenger seat. At dawn, she washes her face at a public faucet near trash bins, hoping for 2 hours of sleep before punching in again. Maria stands for every backbone that once held a community upright, now left to tremble alone where she invested her life and dreams. Advocates say older adults are the most fragile in this housing storm. They cannot start over, earn more, or move far away. They lose not only walls, but the feeling that they belong anywhere. Groups push hard, calling landlords to accept lower rent and squeezing funds for temporary rooms. Yet rents keep soaring, sometimes double what a worker earns. Against these tides, the homeless ask for nothing fancy. They only want a spot where they can rest without fear, a place where dignity is not a luxury. Instead, they battle each day just to keep the last shreds of pride. Florida once drew newcomers chasing fresh beginnings. Now many like Maria fight not to drown in despair. And if people who still clock in every night, believe in work, and cling to silent dignity cannot survive in this promised land, what does that say about the larger nation? Has the country become an artificial beach where lost turtles circle forever, unable to reach the water that once felt like home? Look at one downtown block beside a luxury hotel that still flashes neon at night. On one side, tourists sip frozen drinks. On the other side, a mother built a lean-to out of pizza boxes so her toddler can nap. The contrast slices through the humid air like broken glass, showing how paradise can turn its back in seconds. Local clinics hold walk-in days twice a week, yet the line forms before sunrise and wind around the parking lot. Doctors patch sunburns, treat infections, and hand out inhalers, then watch helplessly as patients walk back in a heat that will undo the medicine by noon. Church kitchens ladle soup until the pots scrape empty. Volunteers drive vans packed with bottled water, passing row after row of tents, shouting soft warnings about an approaching tropical storm. They hand out plastic ponchos, knowing those thin sheets cannot stand against a real gale. Lawmakers schedule hearings and promise task forces, but bills stall while rents rise faster than wages can chase them. Investors flip small houses into short-stay rentals, shrinking the pool of affordable units even more. Every new vacation listing feels like another door slammed in the face of someone who grew up in the neighborhood. Hidden costs climb each day. Emergency rooms see spikes in heat stroke and dehydration. Police reports show more thefts of simple items like blankets and batteries. School buses pick up children from hotel parking lots, their homeward balancing on their knees as the driver dodges potholes created by overflowing drains. Inside every camp, there is still stubborn hope. Fathers rig a battery-powered projector and show cartoons on the side of a delivery truck, giving kids an hour to laugh beneath the stars. A retired teacher offers free reading lessons at dusk, using flashlights clipped to shopping carts. These small sparks fight to keep the dark from winning. Some say calling Florida a warning is sensational, yet the proof sits in plain sight. The real question is how long people will look away while a sun-drenched dream turns into a cautionary tale. Change is possible, but it needs grit, speed, and compassion from every corner, from City Hall to neighborhood block parties. Without a united push, tomorrow's sunrise will shine on even longer rows of tarps, and the line between visitor and victim will blur until no one can tell them apart. Dreaming of golden sunsets and quiet beachfront walks? Wake up. Florida's supposed retirement haven is starting to feel like a toll booth on shattered dreams. Beginning this October, a sweeping rule will ban sleeping or camping in public spaces all across the state. Beaches, parks, sidewalks, and underpasses will be off limits every night. Counties must create special camps stocked with bathrooms, guards, and mental health help, but only when every existing shelter is already packed beyond capacity. So people without homes now risk breaking the law just for closing their eyes, even if they are exhausted from working double shifts. Officials insist the goal is tidy streets and safer neighborhoods. Yet many who live outside feel the opposite. Fear, anger, and the chilling sense of being erased dominate their mornings. On Broward Boulevard, confusion sits beside outrage. A middle-aged man pushing a cart packed with his life muttered, "They don't want to see us, so they make laws to erase us." He once had a house, a spouse, and children. Now, every sunset sparks a frantic search for a legal corner of concrete, as if he is some menace. The state's policy arrives while the Supreme Court studies a similar debate in Oregon. Should a person be fined for sleeping outdoors when no bed exists anywhere else? Florida skipped the waiting and moved ahead. What was once the last stop in the American dream is now charging an invisible fee for simple rest. If poverty, fatigue, or failing strength turns an elder into a criminal for seeking a quiet doorway, do we still count them as neighbors? Or have we quietly shuffled them out of our line of sight because their struggle scares us? Music. Florida is not just blue water and bright skies. Behind its glossy vacation photos lie zones so tense that even SWAT teams keep their distance. North of Miami-Dade and west of Palm Beach, tents stretch like a hidden city of canvas and hope. No set rules, scarce medicine, and almost no outside concern define each human night. One officer told a local paper, "We are trained to handle crime, but here no one is committing any clear crimes. We are facing a different kind of crisis, one that even with enforcement tools we can't solve anything." During one scorching night, rescuers wearing protective suits carried an elderly man with a raging infection out of a camp. He had lain unseen for 3 days in heat topping 100 degrees. A medic later said that if help arrived an hour later, the man would not have made it. Farther north in Jacksonville, 40 people crowd an empty lot by an old container yard. There is no power, no running water, and no toilet. This place has no official address because on city maps it does not exist. Yet for a former builder or a retired soldier, it is the last scrap of ground still called home. Early this year, a security report urged police units to avoid 3 zones labeled too dense, too unstable, and too close to violence. Some rookie officers nicknamed them gray fields, areas where law cannot fully enter, yet also cannot walk away. The real danger comes not from the people, but from sheer desperation growing when hope has been drained dry. Social values crumble when an entire crowd is pressed against a wall with no door. Florida once sold itself as a fresh start. In these unnamed pockets, the American dream is not only fading, it is decaying in plain sight. The smell of trash mingles with salty air, a daily reminder that progress forgot to pick everyone up. If even those sworn to protect hesitate to step inside, who will stand up for the last shards of dignity belonging to the forgotten on the fringe? Music. The idea of Florida as a leisure paradise grew from stories of gentle waves and retirement parties. Yet for countless seniors, that picture has cracked like glass left in the sun. Skyrocketing rents in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and Naples have nearly doubled in 10 years. A simple one-bedroom now costs more than $2,000 a month, far beyond pensions, Social Security checks, or the modest pay from part-time jobs designed to top up meager incomes. These elders once budgeted carefully. A spike in utility bills, a fresh medicine not covered by insurance, or emergency help for a grandchild can topple everything like dominoes. Decades of taxes paid and communities served seem to vanish the moment they need shelter. Many refuse to burden others, so they keep silent. Every dawn they wash faces at public spigots and smooth wrinkled clothes before lining up at day labor offices, clinging to rituals that still feel human. Florida may not be the coldest or the poorest state, yet because it was long hailed as perfect for the golden years, its fall stings deeper. When a place prays for gentle rest, turns into a zone where seniors collect cans just to eat. The basic hope of retirement reveals its crushing cost. If the very generation that built highways, bridges, and schools can no longer lie in peace on the ground they created, what message does that send to every working person counting down the years until they rest? Music. There was a time when a plate of stew, mashed potatoes, and cake signaled comfort for middle-class families. Not fancy, yet warm enough to feel safe. People assumed they would keep that modest tradition into old age, especially in sunny Florida. But across a state filled with bright supermarkets, thousands now share their last meal on park benches. If lucky, they sip tap water with leftover bread. Others rummage through bins behind grocery stores, praying the food is still edible. Hope flickers in every paper bag dinner, yet each new rule feels like another gust that could snuff it out. When resting beneath a streetlight is labeled illegal, despair grows faster than any rescue plan can keep up. Every night, the gap between postcard Florida and real Florida widens until it stretches like a fault line ready to crack the ground beneath all of us. Designated encampments may sound humane on paper, yet advocates warn they can morph into distant stockades far from buses, pharmacies, and grocery stores. Imagine being told your only legal bed sits miles from your doctor or your workplace. Many fear these sites will push people further to the margins, out of sight and out of mind. Clean streets surely matter, but at what cost if hidden suffering multiplies just beyond the city limit? Experts also point to Florida's rising utility costs, which climbed nearly 30% in 4 years. A single air conditioning bill can now swallow half a fixed income during brutal summers. For seniors living on the edge, each month is a gamble between cool air, medicine, or dinner. The pressure can crush mental health long before any physical illness sets in, turning once lively neighborhoods into quiet corridors of worry. These overlapping storms, new laws, soaring rents, and utility spikes have combined into one powerful tide. Unless bold solutions arrive soon, that tide could sweep away entire stories, entire lifetimes of hard-earned progress. The question hanging in the humid air is simple yet urgent. Will Florida find a way to protect its dreamers, or will that promise drift out to sea forever? Dawn breaks over Miami-Dade, and the sidewalk already swells with silver hair and tired eyes. Dozens of elders gather at 5 in the morning, clutching numbered tickets for a single plastic bag of emergency food that holds dented cans, instant noodles, and stale cookies. They're not begging for luxuries. They only want something, anything, to hush the growl in empty stomachs. The real ache is not the leftovers themselves, but the cruel contrast all around. Florida boasts one of the fastest growing luxury markets in the nation. While yachts glide past city lights, dripping lobster and champagne, men and women who paid taxes for 4 decades now skip milk because the price feels like gold. A $30 meal can arrive in 15 minutes on a smartphone app, yet a grandmother cuts vitamin tablets in half, so hunger does not win. What a staggering clash of worlds. This hunger story is not limited to the unhoused. Many Floridians still own a car, still hold a house key, yet eat like it is a disaster zone because their modest incomes vanish into medication, power bills, and rents that refuse to stop climbing. Florida has one of the highest rates of older adults who live alone. Pride silences many until health collapses. Lose a home and hope may survive. Lose a job and a new door might still open. Lose the chance to eat and a core piece of dignity crumbles. A nation powerful enough to rocket humans to the moon now struggles to promise a basic meal to the generation that made that triumph possible. Do we remember what we once lived for? What is your view on the fall of Florida's retirement dream? Share your thoughts below and let others know. Like, share, and subscribe to keep the discussion alive, and stay tuned for future stories that matter.